Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inside the Dam podcast. It is February 6th at 7:30, and that means it is time for a new episode. I am your host, Cole Clementich. I am running solo tonight as the rest of our gang is out tonight with other obligations to take care of. So you will hear me and three wonderful guests that we have on the show today. As always, it is a great partnership with MSU Athletics between them and us, the Minot State Broadcasting Department. But before we get started, I want to remind you guys, Papa John's is the sponsor. Be sure to check out, and don't forget, their MSU special. You can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99, only if you show a valid MSU ID. We thank Admir and the Papa John's gang over there for providing us some great food to eat, and they fed us earlier today as well for the managers meeting. So as always, thank you to that wonderful crowd over there at Papa John's. Again, great show for you guys today. We got a softball and baseball pitcher on hand, and we also have a local product from men's wrestling. And so without further ado, guys, grabbing her first win in college as a freshman on the softball team, Calley Olson joins us as our first segment. Calley, thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so just kind of talk a little bit about yourself. You know, what's your story behind coming to Minot State, and how did it get to be?
Well, I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin named Bloomer, and then I played travel ball over in Minnesota, so I drove like about an hour and a half to practice. And Coach Nat was able to see me play over the summer, and I ended up here.
That's really cool to see. And, you know, you mentioned Coach Nat in there, but now MSU has a new coach. Obviously, you're an incoming freshman, getting your legs under yourself in some of these games to start the season. But you're new, but also a new coach for the school and for the program. You know, how have you approached this so far, and what's it like being able to work with Coach Gaspar?
Mm-hmm. It's an honor to work with Coach Gaspar. I love it. Starting off, you know, it was challenging trying to adapt to new coaches and stuff and trying to figure out them. But once we got going, I figured out that they had a standard for each one of us, so that I knew I had to meet that standard and work hard each day.
And speaking of, you know, you were just named an NSIC pitcher to watch, and even as a freshman, you know, how happy are you about that? You know, how impressive is that to have that, you know, title given to you early?
Mm-hmm. It's such a blessing and an honor to be able to be named pitcher to watch. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it, but coming from Coach Gaspar, like, I truly appreciate it.
That's really awesome. So, you know, as a rookie freshman on the team, you know, how have the older players, the veterans, how have they welcomed you? You know, have you gotten to know a little bit more? Obviously, you started off in the off season when the school year started, but any older players that you have gotten to know quite very well since the start of the school year?
Yeah, quite a few. Taryn Bennett, Brooklyn Morrison, Izzy Penner, they all are super supportive. They always give feedback for everything and help you out when you're in trouble.
That's really cool to have, you know, the older players being able to help you out there, and just anyone really in that sort of situation. And, you know, talking about the season just started, and you were actually on the mound. You started for a couple of those games. Talk about that first-time experience. Were there any butterflies? You know, just how were you feeling overall there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my very first start, so many butterflies. I was so anxious. Like, it was hard to contain it because, yeah, I just was really nervous. But once I got going and I felt comfortable on the mound and I had a catcher to kind of talk me through it and just go at my own pace, learn to do it myself, then everything like settled in and I was good to go.
Being from up fairly north, you know, have you ever played in a bubble before, or is that, say, your first time experience being a part of that?
I only have a couple times when I was younger, but this has been like pretty much my first time. Okay,
yeah. So, you know, kind of the setup is a little bit brand new this time around. You know, I heard from the AD, Kevin Forty, you know, the light cage is still not in yet, but once they get those, you know, it'll be moved back to normal. But, yeah, really cool scene to have just athletics, bringing teams here to town and being able to have that opportunity. And moving on from the softball stage or the field, talk about school a little bit, being a first-time freshman. Actually, first impressions of Minot, what did you come away from it?
I loved it. Like this, Minot feels like home to me, so.
Yeah, Minot's, it's got that small town feel, and it's really, you can really connect with people close by. And, just aside from the softball players, have you connected with anyone on campus that's not a part of the team? Have you connected with any professors or any resources? What have you taken advantage of here in the early going?
Definitely my professors. I'm pretty close with Professor Calley and Terry Ekman. They both have really helped me out so far.
Yeah, and speaking of that, talk about some of your major. What do you major in? What's classroom life? What does that all go down in the day in the life of Calley?
Yeah, so I'm a major in exercise science, and right now I'm thinking of going into PA school. So, yeah.
Awesome. So another one of those majors. Do you kind of use that to your advantage? Already as an athlete, do you try to take as much knowledge in as you can?
Yeah, I can.
Awesome. So talking a little bit about the classroom and the major, overall campus life, have you taken in what are some of your favorites? Have you been to an MSU Life event at all?
Yeah, I've been to a few.
So what have been some of your favorite ones that have you taken in so far?
A lot of my teammates and I, we love to go to bingo. That one's really fun. That's
always a fan favorite, and heck, I will admit I go to quite a few of those as well. And just a lot of great resources on campus, certainly. And just going off from the field more, have you spent a little time in the dome? Obviously, they have those nets up there on the third floor level. Have you spent some time up there, kind of really engrave yourself into what the dome has to offer? What's that been like?
Yeah, I do use the dome to my advantage. Some days I'll go down, I'll study in our academic center, and then there's days I'll go up in the cages and just hit just to get my mind off things.
I always forget about the academic center. I mean, yeah, Dean Franzfog, he's a wonderful person for campus, and great opportunity for all the athletes to take advantage of that. And we're kind of slowly getting to crunch time here, but Calley, kind of speaking on going forward, you're still early in college, but, what do you hope to accomplish here for the rest of freshman year and maybe even beyond, speaking on playing for the softball team and maybe even in the classroom?
So for on the field, I just want to make the best of every situation. This year we only have 3 pitchers, so it's going to be rough, but I know we can get through it. And in the classroom, just trying to maintain my GPA and keep my grades up and just keep furthering my education.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing your success on the field and off the field, and wishing you all the best in that going forward. Are there any last minute thoughts that you'd like to get out there?
I'm just excited for this season and really excited to see how it's all going to go.
Awesome. Well, again, we wish you the best of luck, and happy to have you here on board. Again, folks, you just heard Calley Olson, freshman pitcher for Minot State softball, also an NSIC pitcher to watch. A very cool feat for her and for the MSU softball team, and also getting her first collegiate win and start this past weekend. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. We're going to get to the next guest. You might recognize this name. He is a Minot man on the men's wrestling team. Don't forget, check out Papa John's and their MSU special. If you show them a valid MSU ID, you can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99. Again, we thank Admir and all of Papa John's for supporting MSU Broadcasting and the Inside the Dam podcast. We'll be right back, folks, after a quick break. Do not go anywhere. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast, brought to you by Papa John's. Again, don't forget their MSU special. It is a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99. You go there and you showcase a valid MSU ID, and they will reward you with that epic deal. We thank Admir and the gang for feeding us and providing all their support for the Minot State Broadcasting Department and the Inside the Dam podcast. Like I mentioned in the last segment, great interview with Calley Olson of softball, NSIC pitcher to watch. Now we move on to the wrestling mats, and some of you may recognize this name. He's a sophomore and graduated from Minot High School, currently a sophomore on the Minot State men's wrestling team, and competed this past weekend. Give it up for state champion Kelby Armstrong is in the building with us. Kelby, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Cole. How are you?
I am doing just fantastic here, Kelby, and we're very lucky to have you here. And, just kind of talking your Minot experience. You started out at Minot High, became a state champion. First of all, just kind of talk about that postseason run that you went through and eventually to become a state champion.
Yeah, it was my sophomore year of high school, a long time ago. But, I just had a good season that year. That was back when I was at a whopping 106 pounds, wrestling 149 now in college, so a little bit different. But, just put a good season together, put a good tournament together, and found a way to get on top. So, yeah. And
you have yourself a nice season going on right now, currently with Minot State. We'll get to that later, but talk about your experience in your recruitment, going from Minot High, staying local, going to Minot State. How did that all unfold, and really kind of some of the background of your story? Yeah,
so growing up with my high school career, Evan Forty, our head coach, in the summers, he'd always coach the North Dakota national teams, which I would compete on in the summer and travel with. So I just built a relationship with him over the years, and every once in a while, I got to know the Minot State guys when I was in high school as well, and I'd train with them in the off season a little bit as well, just for a little bit different looks, different guys to train with. I visited other schools, kind of kept my options open, but ultimately fell in love with Minot State, felt like it was at home, knew a lot of the guys on the team already well before even being a part of the school. So, I just felt like I was at home and decided to go here.
So you got to know these guys early then?
Yeah. So, early on I found out about them and got to know some of the guys when I was still in high school, and they welcomed me with open arms. And some of those guys are gone now, some are still around, but they were kind of the ultimate factor in me deciding to come here. Just the good people. So.
And talk about some of those guys, and also working with Coach Forty. What has that experience been like? How have you grown since your recruitment to Minot State?
It's been a long run for sure. Definitely, Coach Forty's been with me for every step of the way since I was probably about a sophomore in high school, in those summers when I was wrestling with Team North Dakota for the national team. And he always helped me out. Whenever I needed just a different coach to kind of run me through a workout in the summer, he'd always be open to helping me out and just help me grow as a wrestler, whether or not I was planning on going to Minot State or not. So he just wanted me to keep on getting better. So, yeah.
Have you prepared? That's always a good sign, most certainly. And now that you're here, you are an MSU Beaver. You are a part of the men's wrestling team. You're compiling up a nice career here. So it's your third year now. The COVID year has to be the main factor for the three in there, but you started all three. Talk about you're moving your way on up. Did you kind of expect to start freshman year, or was that sort of, a goal that you had in mind? And if so, just kind of talk on that progression a little bit.
Yeah, so ultimately, I feel like the goal for anybody that wants to get into a college wrestling program is to be a starter. It's easier said than done, but ultimately that year I found a way to get in the lineup. We didn't have very many matches that year because of COVID. They limited a lot of our competition and our schedule. Had a lot of learning experiences that year. Kind of took my lumps. But yeah, as the years gone on, I've kind of kept growing a little bit. Gone up in a couple weight classes. Started out at 133 my freshman year, 41 last year, and now I'm at 149 this year. So just keep on going up a little bit and hopefully just keep on growing, getting better.
For those that don't know, so how does that work in particular, the weight classes? Obviously, guys weigh in at a starting height when they begin college. How does that all work out? What does that entail mostly? How does that, how do they move, or how do they stay? It's got to be a grind to, stick to one weight class or move up, in certain circumstances. Just overall, how does that all get to be when that happens?
Yeah, I mean, we get recruited at a projected weight when we come in as freshmen. Some guys stay at that weight for all 4 years. Maybe they finish growing in high school. Some guys, their projected weight, they never wrestle that weight ever, which there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, the coaches, they're not necessarily recruiting you to fill a weight class. They're trying to recruit you if you're a good teammate, good wrestler, and all that other stuff. So it all just kind of depends on the circumstances and where they need you in the lineup. So.
And at this point now, you're building yourself a nice resume here. 16 career wins, if I'm not mistaken, 7-1 individual record this season. What's kind of been behind some of that early success that you've been building upon?
Yeah, our conference is super tough in terms of wrestling, the NSIC. So any W you can get in this conference, it means a lot. I think we had like 5 top 25 teams in the nation in our conference alone. This past weekend we came off one top 25 win over Southwest Minnesota State. So it's not something to be taken lightly. It's something to be proud of when you can find a way to get W's over these big teams and opponents from these in-conference rivals. So
we'll get to some fun questions here in a little bit, but just real quickly, what are some of your expectations? What do you hope to accomplish here? Just like we'll ask all the other athletes, what do you hope to expect the rest of this year, even on the mats, in the classroom? What's a major that you're taking up right now, any studies, and what do you hope to accomplish with all that?
Sure, yeah. And in terms of school, right now I'm in my 3rd year of school. I'm a biology major. I plan on attending dental school someday, nice. So possibly this summer or the summer after next school year, I'll kind of look into really applying to some things and exploring that stuff. In terms of wrestling, ultimately the goal is to try to get to the national tournament. You got to place top 3 in our region, which is easier said than done as well. But, I think with the season I'm putting together so far, I can put myself in a good position to make a run at it, as well as a lot of other guys on our team. So,
as always, hoping for all the best for you, Kelby. But during your wrestling career, we see the installment of a women's wrestling program. And not just that, but growth around the nation. How awesome is it to see that from your perspective?
It's awesome, for sure. Definitely, wrestling's a sport that anybody can do. No matter who you are, body shape, size, whoever you are. I mean, wrestling's a sport for everyone as long as you have the determination and the passion for it, and you're willing to work hard towards something. Awesome.
Well, now it's time to really dig deep here. So, Kelby, you have an older brother, Brody, correct?
Yep.
Brody Armstrong. He's in the Army. I forget which sector, but tell us about, he shook hands with the president one time before, correct? Shook hands with Joe Biden.
Yeah. So this past May, he graduated from the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis.
Okay. Nice.
So he graduates and he's an officer in the Navy now. But yeah, so that ceremony they have for graduation, they always bring in a speaker. And last year it just happened to be the president, so Joe Biden. So pretty cool experience for him. I got to attend graduation and be there with all my family and stuff. And yeah, he got to meet Joe Biden for a split second there.
No, that's really awesome. And I mean, regardless, it shouldn't matter what side or what party you side with. That's still got to be a really awesome experience, a really cool scene there, Kelby. And yeah, that's really cool story there. And yeah, we're actually out of time here, but we thank you for sharing your story a little bit on your recruitment to Minot, and of course your wrestling career and in the classroom as well. But thank you for joining us today on the Inside the Dam podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
We wish you all the best. As folks, you just heard Kelby Armstrong, sophomore from men's wrestling, getting a couple wins last weekend and a high school state champion as well. Before we take a quick break, we want to remind you guys that Papa John's has the MSU special. If you show a valid MSU ID, you can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99. Again, we thank Admir and Papa John's for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. We're going to take a quick break, folks. When we come back, another NSIC pitcher to watch. More when we get after this. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. As always, we want to thank Papa John's for sponsoring the podcast each and every Monday night that we do this. They have an MSU special. Be sure to check it out. If you show a valid MSU ID, you can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99. That is a home run slam dunk deal that you just cannot pass up on that. So again, we thank Admir and Papa John's for supporting the United States Broadcasting Department and feeding us earlier during the KMSU managers meeting. Moving on from that, folks, we have another pitcher in the mix here. He was also named an NSIC pitcher to watch from the baseball team. A 6th-year senior, Dominick Parkhurst, is with us here. Dominick, thank you for making some time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you here being with us. So, first and foremost, NSIC pitcher to watch, 6th-year senior. Just kind of talk, how big of an honor is that? And, being here the longest, it's certainly got to be something that you were hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing for me, especially from where I came from. 6 years, that's a lot. That's a long time to be in one place. I mean, everybody I came in with from my class, they had the option, kind of same thing as I did. They got redshirted in COVID year. We obviously got the year back. So they could have played out that extra year that they got from COVID, but a lot of them chose not to. So I'm the only one that's left. And it's just, being bestowed with this award, or just kind of the pitcher to watch, is it's a really good feeling, just because it kind of like validates me, especially me coming back for this 6th year, and from where I was my true freshman year, way back when.
Way back then. Yeah, that's a really cool scene, obviously, and just taking all that experience. How do you bring it all together? How do you spend that much time? How do you really how do you juggle all that all together?
Well, I mean, when you always have something to strive to get better at, I think is a good thing. I mean, when I first came in here, I was pretty low on the totem pole a little bit. Probably one of the reasons why I got redshirted and everything like that. And just trying each year to get better and better. Just pretty much doing whatever the coaches tell me to do, knowing just if you tell me what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it. I just want to get better. I've always said that I've always wanted to play as long as I can. So, I mean, just making it to the collegiate level was a big step for me personally. And then proving that I could actually pitch and perform at this level is just huge for me.
And, hey, why not take it the distance, honestly, and, get that much more valuable experience, get as much playing time as you can with the guys, even just hanging out with them in the dugout. How much has changed, since that true freshman year. And even with the Minot Hot Tots coming in, they're already making some renovations to Corbett Field. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet, but just kind of speak on some of all that timeline there.
Man, the transition. So when I came in here, it was 2017, 2018. And man, that seems like a very long time ago. But I believe that was the first year that they turfed in everything on the field. And I mean, I never got to experience it not being turfed, but going around the NSIC, I'm pretty sure I'm confident in saying that we have like the best looking field. I
agree.
In the whole conference. I don't think it's close. And then just a lot of the guys. I mean, I've gone through. I probably couldn't even list everybody I've played with here in the 6 years I've been here. But through all those 6 years, there's a parent that we're gonna be loud. We're going to talk a lot of smack a little bit too, but we can back it up. We can play with the best guys in the country, which we did in my COVID year. COVID year, the 2020, I believe it was.
Yep.
Where we played Colorado Mesa. They believe they were ranked 4th or 6th in the nation, and we went to their house and beat them twice, which was the first time they hadn't won a series in like 15 years. So, I mean,
wow.
Just going from that year off, and it was probably the biggest bummer for us because we were on this kind of trajectory going up. Just from my first year here, we won conference where we were in the regular season, and then the following year we made it to the conference championship game in the tournament. And then the third year, I mean, once you beat a team of that magnitude, everybody any doubt that anybody has just kind of goes out the window. And then once it hit, we were just a lot more devastated than I think some other teams, just especially around the guys that we had that year, with like Dustin Wilcox being our star catcher that we had. Having him come back for that year because he had to get redshirted the previous year was just huge for us. He was a big leader back then. A lot of us being loud, especially during that year. I mean, maybe not one of the best stats, but I think we played 14 games or something, and we got a bench warning, and I think all of them or anything.
Oh, no.
So maybe not something I should be saying out loud, but
we won't share.
From us, it was a big thing that we pride ourselves on, just knowing that we don't care who you are. We're going to go play you the best we can. And if we play our game, you better watch out.
Yeah, we promise we won't share that.
Yeah.
But you said it yourself. I mean, all the chants, I think that's got to be really engaging, especially not only for you guys, but for the fans as well. And I mean, softball has kind of adjusted to that life a little bit, saying yes, yes, yes after, scoring a run like that. And
they took that from us.
How did that get to be? Was that kind of tradition a little bit? Just kind of walk us through that mentality.
No, man. I think honestly, I don't know who came up with it. If I had to guess, it was probably Caden Cardoso.
Oh, we know him.
You know him especially,
Yep.
So you know exactly what he's like, and him being loud. Definitely the Spartan chant, because he loved that movie, and he would make us watch it pretty much on every road trip. And when they go like the "Ahoo" part was a big
really
that he made us incorporate in that. And it had to have been him or somebody, just a couple of guys on the team just did it, and everybody did it. And that was our thing for like 2 years at a time. But yeah, we get it. It's kind of annoying, especially when we go play at an away game, and especially if we do like the non-conference games where they don't know us and know our mannerisms or how the NSIC kind of operates in that fashion. I can get it. We can get under their skin pretty fast.
Nice. Yeah. And some of you comm majors will remember that Scooby-Doo voice every day in the classroom, or if you've been to some of the games, Caden's he's always causing trouble along that dugout.
Hard not to notice him or hear him.
Yeah, but unfortunately we do miss him. He's out somewhere in California, and he's living off the transfer life, but all the best to him. But going back to you here, Dominick, so kind of your career, so 9-2, 105 pitches, and you started 3 years, I believe. I'm not sure. Started a couple years within that time span. How have you felt getting better on the mound as each season went along?
Looking back in my career, from after it was my redshirt year, my freshman year, I remember this. It was the first time I was able to get on a mound, and I think we were getting beat 17-2, and we had used like 6 pitchers and everything, and it's like the 8th inning, like the bottom of the 8th inning, and it's just nobody cares. I mean, everybody just pretty much wants to go home at that point, and I got 3 strikeouts that game. It was my first collegiate outing. I was really happy about that, and through that season, I just kept working. I was just doing the same thing and kind of slowly working up the pitching side of it, like working up that ladder to the point where I think we were either taking down the bubble, or it had something to do with the bubble. And my coach came up to me, he's like, "Hey, you want to start?" And I'm like, is this a joke? Because they were really tough on me, especially with Scott Ewell and Tanner Spencer. And I mean, Tanner Spencer is actually the head coach of UMary, and he's probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met. He may have worked me a lot, like he was on my butt a lot, to the point where I may have not appreciated it at the moment, or gotten a little bit, frustrated with him. But I knew what he was doing, like, for my career and helping me get better. So I was able to start those 2 games. I got a win, which was really, really good. And then the following year, COVID hit. So it was kind of like, that year didn't happen. Which is good it didn't happen because I lost the game, but technically it doesn't count. So I'm really 9-1. So
Technically, yeah.
Technically, yes. That's what I'm going with.
I'll go with you on that one. So, yeah, it definitely looks better on the resume.
Good. Oh, it does.
Yep.
It does. And then pretty much from that point out, after the season, after COVID, I was allowed to start. I say allowed because Scott didn't really. I don't think he really viewed me as a starter at that point in my career. I think it was just, hey, we're going to throw this guy till like 3-4 innings, which I think is what I ended up throwing, until like he gets in trouble or anything. Like, not actually, you're a starter, you're going to go 6 innings. If you battle, like, you're going to get out of it. It was no, like, kind of the first sign of trouble, you're kind of out, which is, I attribute that to kind of my whole playing career up to that point, just because I had this feeling like, hey, if I do bad in my pen, like, I give them a chance not to play me. And for like the 2-3 years, I just had to know that, hey, if I don't do good here, I'm probably not gonna play for this team. But I was able to, keep going out every single day, proving that it was like they made the right decision. Like, I had to. Like, if somebody doesn't mess up, you kind of don't have any reason for them not to play. So I was able to start, and then it was, I think my first start was against Sioux Falls. I went like 3-4 innings. I didn't give up a hit, and I had like 7-8 Ks or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And then he pulled me.
Good number.
Yeah, he pulled me at that, and I just remember, like, I was asking him, like, why? Like, do you realize, like, I haven't really given up a hit? Because you're not supposed to say that in baseball. And he just...
Oh, yeah.
Like,
you don't want to jinx him.
He didn't care or anything. And then my next start was against Augustana.
That's a good program.
And, they've won the World Series. They're pretty much the team to beat. Them and Cato are the teams to beat in our conference. And I only gave up, I think, 1 run in 5 innings. 5 1/3 or something like that.
Very impressive.
And then from that, I was able to. I continued starting the rest of. That was my sophomore year, playing wise.
A lot of years.
A lot of years that I got to remember. And I had a good year. I accomplished like the goals I wanted. I wanted like an ERA under 4. I had more strikeouts than I did innings pitched, and then I played summer ball for the Sabre Dogs, which you know.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The,
we're going to get to that in a little bit. Some foreshadowing here, folks.
Yep. So I'll skip over that part because we're going to go back to it. And
yep. Hold on to that thought because I'm going to ask you about that. Yep.
And then after that was last year where I was able to I started straight out of the gate, which was against CSU Pueblo, Colorado State Pueblo, which was the first site that I pitched my first collegiate outing at.
Oh, nice.
So it was me and
beautiful state.
Tyler Lubin.
Hey, we know him.
Yep,
he's also a comm major.
You guys know him here. He also made his first collegiate appearance there, and me and him both got to pitch in that game. So we kind of looked at each other like, hey, like this is kind of our revenge game, because it's like he was the 5th person to pitch in that game. I was like the 6th person to pitch in that game, and we were both kind of had the same thing. Like they didn't really want us to play or anything, but I did really well. 6 innings, and then Lubin got his inning because he was a subby, a sub guy. He got his inning, and he did phenomenal. And then I think throughout that, I just kind of rode that like consistent barrier, where RJ Martinez, he was like by far our ace of the team. No matter how good I could say that I was doing, but I mean he had the stats. He was nationally ranked in essentially every single.
That's fair, yeah.
Every single category that year. But if you look back, I was like just a kind of a click behind him. I mean, the guy hit way more strikeouts than I did. Don't get me wrong, but from like a competitive standpoint, I kind of viewed us as like kind of like 1 and 2. I was probably 3 because we have a two-way pitcher, Ricky Apodaca, who, he can get a strikeout. He can light up the radar gun too. A little wild.
Nice, yeah.
Got to throw a little shot in there at him. But I mean, yeah, for us too. And every time like I threw, I always asked like his opinion because he always knew what he was doing. He talked to Tanner Spencer a lot, so he got kind of his. And it's kind of like if you see a guy who's performing at like the best, it's no matter what I'm doing, I always want to see what he's doing. See, hey, can I improve my game at all? And then throughout the year, I had to start against Augustana again, which was by far my best game. Went 7 innings. I allowed 1 run, but when I started the game, I threw 1 pitch. It was a chop double, or no, it was a double to the wall. And then the very next pitch, my buddy who I played summer ball with in Pierce, South Dakota, he hit a ball straight down the third baseman, hit over his head,
Ooh.
and he scored. So I'm 2 pitches in, and I'm down 1-0, and I got a guy on second base. I'm like, okay, this is going to go really bad. But from that point on, I faced the minimum up to that point. So I was able to get the next 3 guys out. And then throughout that, any base runner I had, I either picked off or I got a double play. And I bring this game up specifically because Scotty, we had just put up runs, so we were winning 4-1, and he came down in the dugout because I was getting like my arm worked out just so I could stay loose because we were having a couple of like long innings, which is good. I mean, if we're scoring runs, like I don't care. And he came down and was like, "Hey, you're done. Like you've been sitting too long." And Josh, our trainer at the time, like he was working on my arm doing everything. I was like, "No, like he's been doing this." He's like, "Okay, you can go back out." I throw like 8 pitches, come back in. I'm fired up, and he comes out. He comes out running from the dugout and is like, "Good job!" And I just walk right by him, but he grabs me and was like, "No, like I'm not done. Like this is the best game I've thrown in a while." But no matter how many times I bargained with him or told him no, like straight to his face, he's like, "No, you're done." I'm like, "Okay, that's whatever." I was upset. I'm not going to say it was maybe the best move. I mean, we did end up winning the game anyway. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, like, that's what matters. But it just kind of shows that, like, kind of relationship. Like, I kind of earned that ability to kind of, like, hey, like, get back in his face. And like, hey, no, like, I want to continue throwing. And then the year went on.
It's that want, yeah.
It's that want that I wanted because I knew what it was, and I knew the magnitude of it, of our opponent, what they've done in the past. And then throughout the year, I continued doing pretty well. And then the last start of the regular season was against St. Cloud. And when I'm stretching, man, my back tightened up like I've never had it. Ooh. It was just like the most randomest thing. It was my worst start that I had last year. I gave up like 4 runs. I gave up a bomb to Riolu. He's this really good center fielder, I think he plays.
You still remember his name?
Still remember his name. Well, he got me again in the conference tournament. So
I guess that is kind of.
He was just a really good player. He ended up getting me that game, and we ended up losing, which was my first collegiate loss, which is what I consider because COVID doesn't count.
COVID doesn't count, yeah.
COVID does not count. So I was a little bit upset about that. But, it is what it is. I can't control how many runs we score or who comes in. Like, again, like a win-loss stat for a pitcher is really arbitrary because you can have...
It's a team effort.
It's a team effort. I mean, I could give up 10 runs, but my offense scores 12 runs, and, hey, I get a win. Or I could shut them down through all 9 innings, give up 1 run, and lose. Like, it's so skewed, and it's not a really good determination of how good, like, a pitcher's doing. But then in the conference tournament, I got to play St. Cloud again. And this time, I actually forgot.
Revenge.
I actually forgot my jersey.
Oh no.
we had to wear greens, and I swear he didn't say greens because I didn't see anybody else have them, but I was wrong. So I had to use Jaden Hoffman's jersey, which, I mean, I guess I probably should wear that number more often because I threw 7 strong innings. I gave everything I had in that outing.
Nice.
And I knew it was one
of those. Lucky jersey.
It was one of those where, like, I battled. I knew how good they were because they had won 33 games at the time and only lost like 17.
Wow.
So they were a really good opponent, and they just played the game before, and I believe they lost to Mankato. So I'm sure they wanted a little bit of revenge too. So I pitched the 7 innings, and Riolu did get me again. He hit a skyrocketing 2-run blast to left field, which I swear was in the air for 10 seconds. But luckily,
a lot of airtime.
Luckily, my offense was able to put up 4 runs, which is all we needed. I remember when I came off the field, like Scott and Katz, our pitching coach at the time, usually when you get pulled, you get like a handshake or like, hey, you're done. And I'm like, I guess I kind of pulled myself out of the game because I came back and everybody's like, hey, good job. Like, you're doing great. And I'm like, man, I'm tired. I'm running around. I had to make a kind of a sliding play at first because my first baseman, Blake Gallagher, he may have not thrown it where it needed to be, but I was able to get it. So if anybody says pitchers aren't athletes, maybe right, but you know,
there's a lot of arm strength there, folks.
Occasionally, we can surprise you guys. And then, you know, sadly, our season did end the next game because we ended up winning that game, so we had to play on. And then we lost like 20. I want to say like 20 guys. We graduated or didn't come back.
That's a lot.
They were just because of the COVID year, everybody got that extra year, so everybody was able to come back for last year. And this year, we got a bunch of new guys. I mean, we got a new coach, which I mean, he's doing a great job. The timing of it was not perfect because we were expecting, you know, Scott to be back. But like 2 weeks before the season started, he kind of called everybody up and like, hey, I'm not coming back. He cited, I think, family reasons for what it was.
I think that's what I heard too, yeah.
So we're all like in our group chat just chatting like did you guys hear? Like, what do we do? Like, are you guys staying? Are you guys going? Luckily, a lot of us did come back. Like Caden.
That's awesome, yeah. Oh, besides Caden, yeah.
He left. But I feel that, and especially the like philosophy of Boisner, his coaching, it's a lot different than Scotty. He's more of like a player coach. Like, he's going to give you a bunch of stuff and, hey, you can do this if you want, if you like it. If not, like, that's fine. It's kind of made us closer, I'd say, as a group. It's kind of like, hey, like, we got to run it how we want it. We got to hold ourselves accountable more because we currently don't have a pitching coach on the team. Yeah, it's just Boisner, who's the head coach, and Tanner Wickham, who was our GA last year, I believe, and then he got the paid position, which we all kind of stuck our neck out for him. We were like, hey, you're going to come back or not? It's like, well, we want Tanner Wickham to come back just because like he's a real good guy. All the guys on the team, they really rally around him. So I'm hopeful for this year. I believe that kind of us just sticking more together, kind of fighting for each other more than like your typical team, I would say, just because we had to go through that big, we don't know who our head coach is, like Scott left.
Yeah, that's got to be nerve-wracking almost.
Yeah, not having a coach right before season starts, and we don't know what's gonna happen. Like, who are they gonna hire? Are they gonna hire the right person? I believe they did. I mean, Boisner, he's a great coach. He's pretty much everything that a bunch of the guys kind of asked for. So yeah, I mean, I hope this year just turns out the way we want it.
Well, folks, that's 6 years and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But, yeah, that's a little bit on your story there. We should just have you talk all night, honestly.
I mean, if you want, I could tell you so many more stories.
Oh, boy. I wish, but we're a little bit more of a time crunch tonight. But we'll keep continuing on here, you mentioned the new coach, Sam Boisner. Talk a little bit about him. Obviously, with what happened with Scott Ewell coming in, he brought the program back to life. A lot of coaches in the past in the program history have really brought this program, a lot of great stuff has happened in the past with this team, but Scott Ewell really seemed to bring the team up over his tenure, and the team was really good. Obviously, you mentioned a conference championship. Just talk this new head coach, what are expectations looking like? How different is it? Helps to have those guys back, like you said before, but what is kind of the mindset going on right now and, heading into this brand new season like you guys are with softball? Just take us through the mindset.
Kind of the mindset of Boisner, I'd say, like I did previously, he's more of a player's coach. Like, he's going to give you all the information that he has or anything that he thinks is valuable. And it's up to the player. Like, hey, if you like what we're doing, incorporate it to your daily routine, do it every day. If not, like that's fine with me. Just you got to know what you're doing. He actually played at St. Cloud, which is where Scott Ewell got his, I think, first coaching, or he coached at St. Cloud. So Scott Ewell got to coach Boisner, who's now our current coach. So
funny how that works. Small world.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. But they differ in a bunch of ways. Like, Boisner's more kind of like I'll go Scott Ewell's kind of more of like, hey, you're going to do this time.
More straight up.
Yeah, he had everything planned out. We're going to do this. Pitchers weren't allowed to leave early, even though we kind of did all our stuff. We went 100% in the fall. Like the second week that we were here, it was like, no, we're throwing the live batters. Like, it's go time. Boisner made it clear. He's like, why would I want you throwing 100% in the fall when we play in the spring? And it was kind of, especially for me, and I'm sure for a bunch of other guys, we kind of did like a huh. You're
interesting.
Right. You're right. I guess when
Yep.
you put it that way, I mean, it makes perfect sense, especially because last year we had a bunch of people have like arm injuries. Somebody sadly tore their UCL.
Oh, that's always tough. Yeah.
Which is bad. I mean, you could correlate with that. I mean, he was a reliever the year before that, and then he was a starter. So probably throwing him that much. I mean, yeah, hindsight's 20/20. Not going to say it's the right thing, bad thing to do, but we're going to see. I mean, our first trip, we leave Wednesday. We're actually supposed to leave today, but due to weather, we weren't able to go play Rogers State. So we had a practice today, and he kind of made it clear, like, hey, like, we're not going to throw just 5 guys here, 7 guys, the 7 main guys that we're going to throw every single time. He said it's going to take all of us, which is a big thing because in years past, Scott Ewell, he kind of had just his main 7 guys that he liked to throw every single time. And if you ask anybody on our team, they will 100% agree with that. And it kind of sucked because, yeah, we might have a guy who's like a workhorse and, what he's going to get.
Oh, yeah.
But coming down to playoffs where, if you happen to lose a game, you're having to play double headers just to stay alive. Like, that uses up a lot of arms. And you don't want somebody who's got only 10 innings on the season pitching when, like, the season's on the line. Like, I mean, yeah, you're expected to, like, to succeed, but at the same time, you're kind of setting him up to fail in a bit. But it seems like Boisner, he's got like the flipped mentality. Like, it's going to take all of us. It's going to take everybody we have on the pitching staff. Like, everybody's going to get some innings, it seems like, which, I mean, just arm health wise is going to be huge because you're not going to have one guy throwing like back-to-back days and high pressure situations. So I'm happy with that. I'm curious to see how it's going to work out because, I mean, throughout my collegiate career, I've only known one way, and it was like Scott Ewell's way. Like, we're going to go 100% out of the gate every single time. But hey, like, I'm open to it. I hope it works out in the end, and hopefully we get off to a good start. Because again, in previous years, we actually started off slow in our non-conference schedules, it is like the reason why we weren't able to make a regional with him at the helm. So I mean, yes, these games mean a lot for that. At the same time, it's just kind of seeing like who's going to step up. Again, like you can say, you have those like 7 guys that you're only going to throw. This is a chance to maybe if you just made the travel roster, like you can prove yourself. And like I've been that guy. I've been at the very bottom of like not being able to throw, like him walking down the dugout and just him looking over you and not even like considering you to go throw. Like I've been that guy, and I know that if you just put in all the hard work and you listen to everything that they tell you and you don't mess up, good things are going to happen. You can be like you're gonna climb that ladder to where like he looks at you and like, hey, like go get ready. So we'll see how this first road trip goes. I got high hopes for it.
We're definitely pumped for you guys as you get going on the new season.
Oh yeah.
Yep. But so as mentioned before, the Sabre Dogs, the story about Souris Valley and the Expedition League, unfortunately not a thing anymore. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that I cannot say on air, but a lot of behind-the-scenes happenings that were really bad and just unfortunate for a lot of parties. But you went to play extended time in Minot during the summer. Talk a little bit about your Sabre Dogs experience.
Oh, yeah. So this was in 2021, I think. Yes, it was.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't last summer. It was the summer before.
Where you guys actually won it all. The Sabre Dogs won it 2021. Yep, I remember that year now.
For the first year that they made it. And in the Expedition League, I was actually in Pierce, South Dakota, playing for the Pierre Trappers at the time. I played there for 2 years, and then essentially because I also had I got an apartment here in Minot for school. I was like, I'm going to be paying rent. I kind of want to be on this team. This guy was like, okay, like I'll get you on the team. I did. I was able to start opening day. Had probably the best outing I've had. I mean, I went 7 strong, had 11 Ks, which is my career high.
Really good numbers.
Yeah, really good. And then I left for 2 weeks because I had stayed here after the season ended. I had stayed in Minot, so I knew I could like get that start. And then, hey, I'm going to go back, visit my family for a little bit, and then come back. I guess something that not a lot of people does, because when I came, I kind of just showed up and was like, hey, I'm here to pitch. And
Expedition League was kind of relaxed about that.
I kind of left. And then when I came back, there was a bunch of new players. And was like, oh, like, where are you from? I was like, I've actually pitched here already. But I can say that just being on that team kind of renewed my love for baseball a little bit. Just in the fact of we had a really good team that year. Our offense was unbelievable. I mean, we were scoring like 12 runs a game, and it's really easy to pitch.
Those were some fun summer nights, man.
It's really easy to pitch when you know your offense is going to put up 12 runs a game. And we all meshed really well together. It was honestly just overall a really fun summer that we all had together. And then, like, I started the games. We ended up, because in the Expedition League, if you win the first half of the season, you automatically make the playoffs, and then whoever wins the second half.
It's an interesting format. Yeah, I remember that.
Second half wins it, but if the team who won it in the first half, like we did, wins the second half, which is what we did also, then the second place team goes, and then those two teams battle it out. It's like how you said, it is a very interesting format. I've never seen it done. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be done. I doubt it is.
They've actually done some cool things last year where instead of extra innings, they had a home run derby.
That I could say it's got to be exciting. Just a fan. I mean,
that's minor league baseball right there in a nutshell.
Yeah. But we were able to. I started the first playoff game in Dickinson. Yeah, because we had to go.
Yeah, the Big Sticks.
The Big Sticks, and they had kind of dominated the Expedition in the Lewis League, I believe.
Lewis and Clark divisions.
Clark divisions. And they had kind of dominated. Like, they represented the Lewis division every single year. And we blew them out like 15-1, 13-1.
It's unbelievable.
I remember their announcers. They were just like, "Yeah, this guy's got it." Talking about me personally, he was like, because I'd started like 3 games against him. I did lose one of the games, but that was a 5-inning game that we had to call due to rain.
Oh yeah,
I lost 1-0. Like I gave earlier in the
field just got
interview.
flooded. Yeah,
it was in Minot too, and that's a perfect example of the win-loss stat is kind of
skewed a little bit.
Yeah, skewed a little bit. But we're able to win that game, and then I found out later on that in previous years in the Expedition League, the Sabre Dogs had made the postseason, but they'd always played the Big Sticks. But back then, it was just a single game elimination, where this time it was a best of 3, and the Sabre Dogs had lost both of the times, or every single time that they played them. So when we won that game, it was the first time that they had won in the franchise history.
Nice. Yep.
Which was really good for us as a team. And again, how like summer ball works a little bit. Kind of nobody really wants to make playoffs because that just means, you spent the whole summer there, and then it's like
makes a lot of sense.
Almost
yeah,
home, and a bunch of people left. But
some teams get weaker from it, like all the guys leaving. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But for us, it was kind of like the opposite, because I remember after we won that game,
you guys added some players, believe it or not.
Yeah, we added more players. Like we had a full team set. Like we were ready to go win this.
Quite the polar opposite.
It was more of like, hey, we've spent the summer here. Like we've won the first half, we've won the second half. Why not go win it all? Get some jewelry on your finger.
Nice. Yeah.
So after we won that game, all we were saying was like just three more wins, and we win the whole thing. And then the game got moved back to here, to Minot, where we won that game, and then we had made the championship, which is the first time the Big Sticks had not represented the team, the Lewis Clark division, in the championship game. And we were matched up to go against Spearfish, which they had the MVP of the league, and I think their offense was very similar.
They had some crazy good players that year, I think, as well, yeah. Like you said.
Yeah, and we were able to beat them game 1, so we're up 1-0. So if we win the next game, we win the whole championship. I was able to come back on short rest and pitch that game. Went, I believe, 6 innings and gave up 1 run.
I think I still remember that final score. It was 8-1.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Yep.
Because I remember I did an interview for the local paper.
Yep, Minot Daily.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him asking me, he's like, you went down early, like, how did you feel during that? And my explanation was, when you have an offense like we do, I just knew, like, 1 run is not going to beat us. Like, I know I'm just going to go do my thing that I've done the whole summer, put up zeros, put the ball in play, get weak contact, let my defense work. And we had a really good defense to the point where our shortstop on Minot, Declan Buckle, he
also MSU guy.
Yep, he actually had to go play first base because the left side of the infield was just so stacked. And then our third baseman, Steven Moretto,
he was a good player.
I believe he got drafted.
Did he?
I think, yeah.
Got drafted.
I think he got,
I have to look into that.
I think he got drafted by the Yankees.
Oh, I know of Bo Brewer that got drafted.
Yeah, he got drafted too.
He got drafted. Moretto got drafted too? Really?
I believe.
I'm going to have to look into that.
I sure hope so. I think it is, but yes.
Wow. Amazing. Yep.
So, it just kind of made me, like, reflect on, like, the year in baseball, and ironically, by playing on that team, having such a good offense, it also made me think back. Because when you talk about baseball and they talk about how hard it is, like, everybody says it just kind of doesn't really, like, hit you or anything, and everybody brings up the stat where you can fail 7 times and be a Hall of Famer. Playing the division we are, Division 2, you got to realize no matter how good it is, like when we play Augustana, Like, yeah, they might be nationally ranked, but they're D2 hitters still. Like, they're here for,
that ranking doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, they're here for
truthfully.
They're here for a reason.
Yeah.
They don't do something well, and as a pitcher, you got to try to find that tendency that they do, but also just knowing as a pitcher, if you throw strikes, it's so hard to even hit the ball, and when you do hit the ball, I'll tell a little story. Jake Collins, who was another player on our team, on Minot State's team, I played with him in summer ball when I played in Pierre, and we had these two guys that were like sabermetrics a little bit. They kept track.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah, I think
bat speed and hard hit balls. Well, he hit 125, which is not good, but he had the hardest hit ball rate out of like anybody in that league by like a really high margin. Like, he would scorch a ball, it would just go right to the shortstop, and it happened he got so frustrated. But it's at that point,
you just have to be that instant to catch it.
Yeah, it's at that end. For him as a hitter, you got to realize you're doing everything right. Like, you're square with the ball, you're hitting it hard, but
all the mechanics,
but you're getting out. So from a pitcher, if I can do that, like if I give up a hard hit ball, there's a good chance that it's probably going to get caught. I mean, no matter what it is. But it's also like, if I could have a game where I hit my spot every single time and get blown out, I could give up like 10 runs and just be off of that game. Or I could have another game where I can't locate anything and I don't give up a hit. Like, baseball is very interesting in that aspect, like, and also very frustrating to that point, because knowing that you could be doing everything right from pitching or hitting and you're still getting out, like you're still not producing for your team, and it's hard from like the mental side. But a thing that I kind of have taken,
especially for pitchers, you have to wait a couple days too.
Oh, pitchers, yeah, you got to wait 5 days, you got to wait a whole week before you can get another chance. But also just being on that mound, you're isolated. Everybody can see you. You can't hide behind anybody. One thing that I've learned, I guess kind of taught myself, was as soon as you release that ball, like, you can't do anything about it. Again, you can't make it come back, because every pitcher knows that everybody's giving up that one where they throw the ball and it's just like, come back. Like, no, I want this back. And next thing you know, the guy's going 450, hitting the school at Corbett. Behind
gosh,
Corbett.
That went far.
I've seen it.
I saw it live too. Yeah, but yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to control. Once you get a pitch that you don't like, it's like, gosh, yeah, I could. You could kind of sense that a little bit, but a lot of great stuff, Dominick. Yeah. Great stories. Just kind of your quick thoughts on the new Minot Hot Tots. I'm actually wearing the inaugural season shirt right now. Kind of a hard angle for the camera to see. But, just kind of your quick thoughts on the new Northwoods League team.
Do you know why they're named Hot Tots or anything?
Okay, so it's kind of supposed to be kid-themed, minor league baseball clubs. They have all these fancy names. But my professor, Neil, he makes a great point. Or was it him? It might have been someone else. But, Hot Tot, Minot, kind of a little jingle there. The brand is nice. The logos are nice. Some people maybe not a big fan of the name, but that's just kind of what they rolled with. They said they evaluated the public side of, what their name submissions. They had a public deal about it, and people got to submit names, and I guess they just kind of went through, they kind of did their due diligence, went through the whole process, and I don't know any insider information, but I actually kind of sort of knew, kind of had an inkling of what the name was going to be, but they just kind of went through it, and Hot Tots they felt was their best choice. But yeah, kind of your quick thoughts on that, on the new team.
I'm going to be biased, especially because playing for the Saber Dogs, being here in Minot, and us winning the championship here. I really liked that name. I thought it suited. I liked all the uniforms that we had, the combinations. the plane kind of giving tribute to the Minot State Air Force Base, which is literally right up.
That was also a cool logo.
Yeah, which is right from it. I like that. Hot Tots. I was just because I asked a bunch of people like, are we known for like
Tater tot hot dish, kind of a Midwest theme, but it is kind of I'd see the other side of the argument, the other side of the totem pole. So yeah.
So that's kind of where my head was going when I found out what it was. I was just confused.
Excuse me.
I mean, I guess maybe they couldn't have used the old logo and the name for legal reasons, or who knows. But yeah, I expect that they do. I mean, I think everybody in Minot should have high expectations for that team. I know we have at least two of our.
We're excited for them because they're also majors of ours.
Yep, KJOs, they know it. They're going to be playing here. I mean, those guys are inseparable. I mean, they're always together.
I called them the Splash Brothers on social media. Yep. Yep.
So, I mean, both of them, like, they're both going to start this year.
Yeah, we're excited for them.
Yeah, so hopefully, we're all rooting for each other, and it's not like, oh, you're going to be taking more innings from me, or like there's only X amount of innings. Like I want my share. It's, hey, like we're all capable of starting and going long, and when it comes down to it, as long as we're winning the games, I mean that's why you play the game.
Oh yeah, and definitely getting that experience in the summer and just spending time at the game that you love. And yeah, a lot of great stuff here again, Dominick. A lot of great stories. Just one last thing here before we head out. Just kind of discuss your expectations. Talk a little bit about the classroom life, your major, expectations in that, and also going into this season for baseball.
Yep, expectation-wise for baseball, I mean, since I've been here, I know what we have to do to get first in the conference. The goal there is 6 or less conference losses, because historically, if you're able to do that, you're going to get first in our conference, and then you're set up beautifully for the conference tournament. We all, as a collective group, everybody could say, oh, we want to go to a World Series. We want to go to a super regional. Well, for this program, we've never been to a regional. And everybody is on the same page. Like that's our goal. Like we want to be the team that finally breaks through and makes a regional. Because last year, ironically enough, when we were playing Northern, which is where Boisner, he previously coached at, the first rankings came out and we were 8th, so we had just made it. And then we kind of fell off a little bit. I think that probably went to our heads a little bit. But expectation-wise, like we're expecting to compete in the regular season. Just trying to, we're going to be one of the top 4 teams in our conference. Like when we play those other guys, Cato, Augie, Cloud, like they're going to be dogfights. And then classroom-wise, I'm a 6-year senior, whatever.
Yep, super senior, super duper senior. Yeah.
So I'm getting my master's in management information systems, which is
cool.
what I minored. Which is
I guess that's a 6-year senior. I guess that had just crossed my mind. Now, yeah, you're probably have your degree by now, but you're in master's program. Okay, yeah, keep on.
Yep. I got my bachelor's degree in the same major in MIS, and I always figured because I always kind of planned to play my 5th year, my redshirt year. But then and then the COVID happened, so I'm like, well, I have actually 2 extra years. So if you're going to be in college for 6 years, like, why not get a master's?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping everything's going well. So far it has been. I got awarded that Miles brand.
The Miles brand.
Miles brand.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Me and Garrett Nicholson, who's a lefty pitcher on my team, he's also a 6-year. He was also awarded it, which is
nice.
Actually a good thing.
How awesome is that?
Oh, it's
to be
huge.
awarded that.
I didn't know the valuation of it at the time, but I was actually on a call with my advisor just talking about life and talking about what the heck do I do after I'm done playing baseball and everything. Because I've always had to be an athlete, baseball, playing in the fall, spring, and then you go play summer ball. You don't really have time to like go and work or everything. And getting my master's degree, a lot of the questions are geared to like, how does this work in your place where you work at? And a lot, I always have to say like the same two lines, like, I'm actually still here in Minot. Like I'm still technically on campus, even though all the classes are online. So I mean, that was kind of discouraging a little bit, just because it seemed like, I mean, I'm in a class with like a bunch of 40-year-olds, and they have all had like 20+ year experience and everything, and I'm over here like, no, I'm still playing baseball.
I'm pitching.
So that was kind of like one of the negative things that was kind of in my mind about coming back and playing like a 6-year. But talking to my advisor, Christy Berg, she kind of put my mind at rest a little bit. And at the same time, it's good because if I didn't had played the 6-year or even last year, I wouldn't be playing baseball, which is pretty much what I've done since I was 5. And I've said since I came into college, I want to play as long as I can, because you can only play this sport for X amount of years in your life, and then you're done. Like you can always end up switching careers down the line, or doing anything. And while I was on the call, I got the email for that award, and I sent her this. I sent her the link. I was like, oh yeah, I got this. I honestly didn't think anything of it, but she's like, no, like this is one of like the most prestigious awards the NSIC gives. And I was like, oh, it's a big thing. So,
oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yep. So I got a certificate and a nice wristwatch that says NSIC on it.
Oh, cool.
So I got that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but thank you so much, Dominick. I mean, that's went a lot of time here. So, but you have a lot of great stories. Obviously, a lot of great touch on the baseball team and on campus. And any last minute things you want to mention before we get out?
Well, if you ever need me to tell any more stories, I'm always around. Yeah. I might get some of the dates wrong, but a lot of times I just go pre-COVID, post-COVID. That's kind of the easier thing to do.
A lot can happen in 6 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, man, can it? Mm-hmm. Just thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, for letting me tell a little bit of my side of the story, everything.
No, we appreciate it.
Going on. Love to be back if ever you need somebody.
Yep, that'll be hopefully per athletics request. Maybe if there's a performance, if you get done after a nice performance on the weekend, there's certainly a good chance. But yeah, we'll let athletics handle that. But yeah, thank you so much. A lot of great stuff. Again, we're a little overboard here, but
it was worth it.
It's well worth it. So you told a great story, a lot of great insight, and yeah, we thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. 6 years of Dominick Parkhurst summarized in, I don't even know how long the segment was, but yeah, you just heard it from him. Miles Brand Award, which I didn't even remember that. I totally spaced that out as well, but Miles Brand Award winner and also NSIC Player to Watch on the MSU baseball team. Lastly here, folks, don't forget the Papa John's MSU special. If you show a valid MSU ID, you can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99. We thank Papa John's and Admir, as always, for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. We had a great basketball show last weekend, and also a great show here tonight. We thank Calley, Olson, and Kelby Armstrong for joining us, as well as you just heard him, Dominick Parkhurst from the baseball team. That is going to do it from us and from me as well, as I was sitting in solo tonight. Hopefully we get the guys or the crew back in next week, but obviously life happens, and yeah, we'll just see how it goes. But we'll see you guys back here in the studio. We'll have tryouts for MSU Inside Out this Thursday. Maybe tryouts, I don't know quite yet, but that first show will be next Thursday. But we'll be back here in the studios next Monday for another great show, another 3 guests. And until then, you guys have a good night.